Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a video talking to you about this little silencer I got on the front of my little 2245 light here. This is the Griffin Optimus Micro. I've been doing quite a bit of shooting with this thing. At this point I have probably 700 to 800 rounds through this thing, most of which has been 22, but I have shot it a little bit on 5.56, so I'm going to talk to you guys about that since it is rated for that. But before I go too in depth with this thing, I'm going to do some more shooting with this and then we'll dive into the specifics. Throw them off. Not too shabby once I figured out the hold. So as you can see, even running it on this 1022, super quiet with that subsonic ammo. What you'll notice is really, at least with this silencer, with this 1022, most of the noise is the action going back and forth. I can very distinctly hear that. You really don't get much of the noise through this silencer, at least on this rifle. If you had a bolt action, man, you'd probably hear the hammer fall, and that's about it, at least from the shooter's perspective. You're usually going to hear impact downrange, but not too shabby. Now this silencer is full auto rated, but as a civilian, that doesn't really do a whole lot for me since I don't have a full auto lower to attach this to. However, what it does mean is that you can shoot really quick and really fast without having to worry about damaging the can. Now again, this thing is rated for 5.56, but just as way of demonstration, I just got a BX25 magazine here loaded up with some Supersonic 22, really just to make sure that it'll feed reliably. So let's just do a quick dump of this. And I can say it's really not even hot to the touch. It's the nice thing about shooting 22s, it doesn't get your cans super hot. So many of you watching this video have probably seen the review I did of this thing's bigger brother, the regular Griffin Optimus. I really was impressed by that silencer, mainly just how versatile it was. There really wasn't anything you couldn't attach it to, granted up to 30 caliber. And again, not including those Magnum calibers, at least I didn't try it. So with the popularity of the Optimus, I guess they went ahead and decided to do, again, the younger brother, 22 caliber version of that. So you still have a lot of that versatility, just in a much smaller, lighter, and cheaper package. That is generally going to be a good thing. However, because of that, and because of them scaling this thing down, I have a really hard time finding an appropriate application for this. But I'll go ahead and get into my thoughts about that and where this thing fits in the lineup towards the end of the video. First, I'm just going to run down a lot of the specs for this thing. What I'm going to go ahead and do is take this side of the screen to list off a lot of the specifics. Feel free to pause it, or really if you want, go to the product page for this thing on Silencer Shop's website, and you'll get a much better idea of really more than anything I'm going to be able to tell you in this video as far as the specs go. Which I should mention right off the bat, this thing was provided by Silencer Shop, so it was at no cost to me. I'm going to be testing this thing out and sending it back to Silencer Shop once I'm done. But I'll again touch more on that later on. So in regards to some of the specs that you saw earlier, you did see that this thing is fairly lightweight. I believe it's like 8.5 ounces. That's generally going to be a really good thing, especially compared to a lot of 5.56 rated cans on the market. A lot of them are a lot heavier and a lot bigger. Now, that said, a lot of those other cans that are heavier and bigger also make this thing a lot quieter. So this thing doesn't do a whole lot of sound reduction in regards to 5.56. However, as you'll see shooting 22, it is exceptionally quiet. I mean, honestly, when I was shooting it on my 1022, all you're hearing is that action slapping back and forth. When I'm shooting it on the 2245, again, you're hearing just a lot of that action going back and forth. I haven't shot this thing on a bolt action 22 caliber rifle, but I can imagine if I did, it would be even quieter. You'd probably just hear that hammer fall, and that's about it. Now, one of the biggest selling points for this silencer, just like its bigger brother, is going to be the versatility of it. This thing can be attached in a lot of different ways. That includes like tri-lug mounts, direct thread, QD, a lot of different options to attach this thing to one of your guns. And that's going to be a really good thing for people who want to buy just one can and attach it to a bunch of different guns. Let's say you have your go-to AR, you want to put a tri-lug adapter on that, you can run it there, and then take it off the tri-lug, thread it onto your 22 bolt gun or squirrel gun, and be ready to rock and roll still with that same can, just going from one to the other. Now, would you want to do that? Again, that's something I'll touch on later, but again, it is an option, which is going to be a very popular option for a lot of people out there who just want to buy one can. One of the other benefits of this thing is it is going to be end user serviceable. Really, this end cap will thread off. Once you do that, you can get to the baffles on the inside. And I believe that the baffles in here are stainless steel, which means that you can just drop them into whatever kind of cleaner you want, and it'll do a good job, which is a really important thing if you're shooting a lot of 22s. 22 is really, really dirty, especially the subsonic stuff I've found. So it's going to gunk up your can really quick, especially if you do a high volume of shooting. So being able to take this thing down, clean a lot of that gunk out, is going to keep the longevity of this thing going strong for a long time. Now, it's not really a worry as much when it comes to your 5.56, just because it is nowhere near as dirty as 22. But again, a lot of people are still like that feature of it being end user serviceable. But I will say, in my own experience and from everything I've learned from people I've talked to, if you're just really shooting this on 5.56, that's really going to be a non-issue. So let's show some more shooting with this thing, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about my thoughts on the silencer. Just to give you some reference as far as how loud this thing is, what I have inside right now is a magazine of 10 rounds of supersonic ammo. I'm going to try to shoot that all on steel. Again, the steel is at 90 yards, just so you can get a reference of how loud it is compared to the sound of it impacting steel. After that, I have a magazine with half supers, half subs, so you can get an idea of the sound difference between the two that way, and I'm going to be shooting that off steel. Now, I might shoot some of these off steel as well, but that is not intentional. It's just my amazing skills as a shooter. So let's go ahead and just do some examples here. I'll wait for them to stop shooting. All right, now that they're done shooting, let's try again. All right, so again, that was all supers. Let's try a magazine, supers and subs, all off steel. We'll try to find a lull in there shooting so you get a better idea of how this is gonna sound. Okay, let's try real quick while they're done shooting. Huge difference there between those two. So with the supers, you're still getting that supersonic crack. With that subsonic, man, you're really just hearing that action cycling. Hopefully that comes across on camera. I know it never is a good true indicator of it, but I'm telling you, it's night and day difference from here. And I will say, shooting supersonics out of this, totally hearing safe from my perspective as the shooter, and I'm sure to anyone around me. Not necessarily the case for 5.56. So let's go ahead and get into that. So we've talked a lot about the good things about this silencer. It is exceptionally effective on a 22 caliber rifle or pistol. The malfunctions you were seeing are really just this Aguila ammo. I was shooting Fiocchi ammo the other day, and between those same two guns, that 2245 and that 1022, my girlfriend and I cleaned out an entire brick of 500 rounds of that Fiocchi subsonic ammo and didn't have a single issue. So it's really just that Aguila that's been giving us trouble. It's been cycling fine with the Fiocchi, so take that for what it is. But while this thing is exceptionally effective on 22s, it's really not super effective on 5.56, and that's where this thing really is kind of disappointing, because it is rated for 5.56. In my opinion, if it's rated for 5.56, I'd like it to be effective on 5.56, and it's just not what's going on here. Now, just for reference, with the direct thread adapter, the shortest barrel you can shoot it on is a 14.5. That's pretty long for a 5.56 rated can. Most cans for 5.56, even on the longer end, you're looking at 10.5 inches and some even shorter than that. If you have the taper mount adapter on this thing, it will go down to 12.5 inches, but still, that's 2 inches longer than your other 5.56 cans. On top of that, because this thing is so small and so light, it doesn't have a whole lot of sound reduction. One thing I noticed when I looked at the product page for this thing this morning is it does not advertise how much the sound reduction is. And to me, or to anyone looking at that, that should kind of be a red flag to say it's not going to cut out a whole lot. Now again, there are situations where you do want to sacrifice the decibel reduction for size and weight. And again, you get a really lightweight and compact package here. But even shooting it on the 20-inch barrel that I have one of my AR set up as, it's a 20-inch Fax and Match Series barrel that I just did my review on. Shooting it on a 20-inch AR, it was not hearing safe. Now, if you had to shoot 1 or 2 rounds, if you're out hunting, would it be okay? Probably, but if you're doing any sort of extended series of fire, I would not go without hearing protection. That's just my personal take on it. I don't have the high rated decibel readers, so I couldn't tell you exactly how loud it was and if it is scientifically hearing safe, but I will tell you that it is not super comfortable to be shooting with this, even on a 20-inch barrel. That is only going to be exacerbated on a shorter barrel. If you go down to the 14.5 or 12.5, it's going to be really, really loud, and that's not a great thing if you're buying a silencer for your gun. Now, I really quickly want to address, no silencer that you buy for a 5.56 is going to make it as quiet as that 22 there. That bullet is still going supersonic velocities, so you're still going to get that supersonic crack. So even with a silencer, it's going to make a lot of noise. But that said, there are a lot of silencers that I've tested here on this channel before that are hearing safe, even on some of the shorter barrels. And that's just not what you get here, and that's kind of disappointing. So I wouldn't recommend this to anyone who's going to be shooting predominantly 5.56. So then who is it for? If you're shooting a lot of 22 or predominantly 22, I wouldn't recommend this to you either, because it is on the heavier end of the 22 caliber cans. For example, the Q El Camino that I reviewed way long time ago on my 22 is almost half the weight and $100 cheaper than this thing. And it gives you about as good sound reduction as this does on a 22. Now, the difference there is that is not rated for 5.56 as this is, but if you put this on a 5.56 gun, it's still going to be really, really loud. So it's in this weird middle ground where it's not really great as a 22 can because others do that better, and it's not great as a 5.56 can because others do that better. Others from Griffin, again, as way of reference, I was just looking some of these up. The Griffin, I believe it's their GP5, currently from Silencer Shop is $495, the same exact price as this from Silencer Shop right now. That's a dedicated 5.56 can that is only direct thread, so you don't get the cool attachment methods here. It's only direct thread. It is heavier, but it's going to be significantly quieter than this is, and you can still use that on 22s. Granted, it's going to be heavier, so you're kind of making the problem even worse there that I was talking about, but at least in the thing that it's designed for, it's going to do a lot more in the way of sound reduction. So really the only people I can recommend this to with a clean conscience is people who want those added options for mounting. If you want the tri-lug and a direct thread and a taper mount all in one can, this is pretty much your only option other than the full-size Griffin Optimus. I would say if you can afford it, I would go for the full-size Griffin Optimus. It's going to give you even more options as far as what you mount it to, and it's going to be a lot quieter on 5.56 than this is. And it'll still theoretically work on 22s, but again, you're weighing down that barrel quite a bit. So again, if you're in the market for a 5.56 can, you're probably better served buying something else. Again, for the same price from Griffin, you can get that GP5 and it'll work better as a 5.56 can. And if you want something that's a 22 can, there are options out there that are going to be cheaper, lighter, and give you about the same amount of sound reduction. This one will probably do a little bit better, but pretty darn close. And really, I hate to leave it there. I'm a really big fan of Griffin products. By no means is this a bad silencer. It's just kind of like the 40 caliber of silencers. It doesn't do any one thing well. It's kind of mediocre at the things that it does. Again, it's great as a 22 can, but it's twice the weight of the El Camino. And it does pretty not great at 5.56, but it is lighter than most 5.56 cans. Now, I can't tell you exactly what your needs are, so depending on what you may need, this might be the right silencer for you. I really don't know. It all depends on your specific situation. So if the multiple attachment methods appeal to you, definitely take a look at this thing. But if you want to be really happy with a 22 can or really happy with a 5.56 can, I would say maybe just buy two separate cans, and I think you'll be a lot happier in the end. And again, Griffin has options in both those territories. As I said, I did get this from Silencer Shop, and as you guys know, if you've seen any of my other silencer reviews, I truly believe that Silencer Shop has the easiest process for ordering NFA items on the market currently. I even did a video with them at SHOT Show talking to Jeremy over there about what that process is, especially using their kiosks, which make the process even easier. And one of the things that I really appreciate about Silencer Shop is not only are they making the process of ordering these easier, they're actively working behind the scenes to make the entire process faster with the ATF. They recently were working with another company to release that barcode system. And again, from talking to them, I know they're working on some other really cool things that are going to bring those wait times down drastically. So I really like supporting a company that's willing to do that for the market. They're not just in it to make a buck, they're actively trying to make it better for those of us who want to get NFA items. So if you are interested in purchasing these, I would definitely take a look at Silencer Shop. As I said, alluded to before, this thing is currently on sale there, as are a lot of other silencers. Again, this one currently, subject to change depending on how soon you see this video, is $4.95. So that's really great. Now that's before tax stamp. With a tax stamp though, you're looking at what, $700. That's not bad for a can that'll go between 5.56 and 2.23. Again, I think you'll be happier if you just buy a dedicated 22 can and a dedicated 5.56 can. But that's me. Judge your needs how you will. Going along with prices being subject to change, if you are seeing this video in the future and the prices are no longer that way, I'd suggest you probably subscribe to my channel so that you can see these reviews as they go up and as those prices are current. I do also have a Patreon page, so definitely check that out if you're interested. I post all my content there early, as well as doing some exclusive content, and we're doing monthly live streams now. So definitely check that if you're interested, or even if you just want to financially support this channel and keep it going in the face of Google's oppression, let's say. But anyway, with all that said, as always, I hope you're able to get something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.